So, looking at Southeast Asia in the early modern era, at the beginning of this era, trade continued to flourish in that Indian Ocean basin. And as always, the Indian Ocean basin was kind of divided into three zones, and each region kind of controlled a zone in the Indian Ocean basin. And overall, trade in the Indian Ocean was pretty peaceful and prosperous. Um, there weren't many pirates. There wasn't really a strong military force because it wasn't needed. And so it's into this network that the Portuguese first arrive. And so the Portuguese, of course, are the first to round that tip of Africa and reach the Indian Ocean. And when they arrive, the Portuguese immediately found out that the Asian merchants really didn't have any interest in European manufactured goods. In fact, the only thing that they wanted that Europe had to offer was gold and silver. And so the Portuguese, when they first enter the Indian Ocean, they tried to use force to kind of control and force their will on peoples. And it worked in some of the coastal areas where there wasn't a strong centralized government. But over time, they found they couldn't control the entire Indian Ocean basin, and they couldn't control these large empires and kingdoms that had well-established governments. And so then they found that it was far more profitable to work within the network and trade rather than trying to conquer and force their will on that region. So when we look at the Indian Ocean zones here, you had this eastern zone that was mostly controlled by Chinese merchants and Southeast Asian merchants as well. And so from China, we're going to get things like silk and porcelain and tea exported into the rest of the Indian Ocean basin. From Southeast Asia, it was mostly spices that were traded. Then the central zone was mostly controlled by India. And India is going to export cotton textiles, which they were always known for, pepper, and then later some precious stones and things like that. And then from the western zone here, it was mostly dominated by Arab and Muslim merchants. And so they're going to export things like carpets. We also see from that east coast of Africa, gold, ivory, and slaves exported as well. And again, this Indian Ocean trade network was pretty peaceful. They didn't need a strong military presence. It was kept relatively free of pirates. And you had the creation of these entrepot cities, these trading cities all along the coastal regions that become clearinghouses with goods from all over the Indian Ocean basin. So after the initial rise of the Portuguese in the Indian Ocean basin, soon the British and the Dutch and the Spanish also arrive. And they're going to emphasize different areas of the Indian Ocean basin. And so for the Dutch, their main goal was to control the spice trade. And they actually take over some of the spice islands in Southeast Asia because they didn't have strong fortified governments to resist the Europeans. And so the Dutch focused on the spice islands of Southeast Asia. And the Dutch East India Company is going to come to control a lot of the spice trade. England, on the other hand, focused on India. And they're going to set up trading posts along the coastal regions. And as the Mughal Empire declined, they began to play a bigger and bigger role in trade in India. And eventually in the next era, they're going to come to control most of India. When it comes to spreading Christianity, the Portuguese and the Spanish actually actively work to spread Christianity. And the Spanish, for example, they're going to be extremely successful at spreading Christianity to the Philippines. The Philippines become very devout Catholics. The British and the Dutch, on the other hand, really didn't show a strong interest in trying to spread Christianity in the Indian Ocean basin.